Let's be honest, so much of what teachers are asked to do around behavior is reaction-based. Try this intervention, call home, document this in triplicate. All right, maybe not triplicate, but sometimes it feels that way, right? By the time we respond, the damage is already done for the student and for you, and not to mention all the other students in your classroom. It's draining, it can be demoralizing, and it's not something that really works. Instead, I want you to think proactively. What if you had the tools to help your students feel safe, seen, and supported from the start, before those outbursts or shutdowns even happen? Well, today I'm giving you 3 practical, realistic ways to do just that. Hey friends, welcome to Enjoy Teaching Again, the podcast for teachers who love the work but need a little spark to bring the joy back. I'm your host, Elizabeth Peterson, classroom teacher, arts integration specialist, and passionate educator of over 25 years. If you're overwhelmed by behaviors, disengaged students, and long, exhausting days, you are not alone. But together, we can turn things around and you can teach with confidence and purpose again. So locate that cold coffee of yours, find your favorite pen, I know you have one, and let's dive in. It's time to get inspired and enjoy teaching again. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a never-ending game of whack-a-mole, constantly managing behaviors, grading papers, and chasing expectations, all the while the joy of teaching feels like it's slipping through your fingers? I know you're tired of being the one who has to figure it all out, the classroom management, student behaviors, engagement, and still find time to, teach. I know you're tired of the blurting, the work refusal, the lack of effort, and you want a classroom that feels calm, creative, and dare I say, fun, where you feel effective and at peace with how things are working. Does that sound dreamy? Well, it is. But it's also possible. You deserve a place where you actually look forward to walking through the door each and every morning. Inside the Classroom Reset, you'll find tools, the strategies, and the support you need to refresh, re-envision, and yes, reset your teaching. This is a group coaching program unlike any other, where classroom management and student engagement and social-emotional skills all come together with a splash of creativity, all while keeping things focused on you. Join me now at theinspiredclassroom.com/reset. That's theinspiredclassroom.com/RESET, and let's hit that reset button together. It can be so easy to get caught up in how your classroom looks at the start of a new school year. And let's face it, it's kind of fun too. You've got your name tags, your color-coded supplies, maybe some affirmations or motivations on the wall, a cozy calm-down corner with a plush rug, and maybe even a stuffed animal classroom mascot. Check, check, check. It's fun, it's cute, and it feels like progress. But here's the honest truth. Get ready. None of those things by themselves will improve student behavior. Trust me, I've done the whole decorate my way into the calm thing. And while those visuals can support a peaceful environment for your classroom, what your students really need goes a little deeper. They need some structure. They need connection. They need clear expectations that they can even help build. They need to feel like they matter, that they belong, not just that they're managed. And that's why in today's episode, we're skipping the glue sticks, skipping the posters, we're even skipping the behavioral charts and talking about what really helps prevent behaviors before they happen. The first thing I want you to consider is how you start your day, and how you start your day with some predictable connection. That's the key, predictable connection. What do you do in those first 5 minutes of your day? Because they can make or break everything. And not just for you, but they can make or break everything for each and every single one of your students. So making that connection with each and every one of your students is a really important and beneficial thing to make sure you're doing. A few years back, the big push was to make sure you're greeting every student at the door. And we all know that. But are you doing it? So take a moment and think to yourself, okay, am I actually greeting every single kid at the door? And am I using their name? And what kind of connection am I going to make with them? It could be as simple as just making eye contact with them and making sure they know that you see them. I've even had students come through my doorway and they say hi, but they kind of like don't even look. They're just looking into the classroom or they're looking down, and I'll stop them for a minute and I'll take a second to actually look them in the eyes and say hello and use their name. Maybe you do a handshake, just a smile works, a peace sign, a dance move. You don't have to go crazy here, but you know that the simple greeting really does make a difference. It gives you that chance to connect personally with each student. But take it a little further. What other kinds of parts can you make predictable in your classroom for your students to then connect to you, to their classmates, and to the classroom? Maybe you have a song that you are playing in your classroom as the students are entering. And for my SEAL teachers out there, dust off your song trilogies that help to really calm your students and transition them into the classroom so that their energy is just where you want them. Maybe you have a journal prompt or a question of the day on the board that students can respond to as they're coming in and then settling into their seats. I talk even more in depth about these first 5 minutes of the class inside my episode number 57. It's called Morning Chaos to Classroom Calm. I want to encourage you to go there if this is something that you really need to, look into a little bit more and examine a little bit more in your own classroom. This works because predictability reduces anxiety, and chances are you have some students that are going to have some school anxiety. That's just the way it is right now. And so when you can make things predictable as well as calming and inviting, that is the type of thing that's going to help your students transition into your classroom, whether it's at the beginning of the day or at the beginning of your class period. Okay, the second thing I want you to consider doing in order to help prevent behaviors before they start is to build a classroom of responsibility. In other words, giving your students roles to do inside the classroom. It gives them some purpose. It gives your classroom a better sense of community. So giving students classroom jobs like, tech helper, my favorite, floor inspector, such a good one at the end of your day. Maybe you give the job of morning greeter or pencil sharpener monitor. I don't know about you, but I am the only person who's allowed to sharpen pencils in my classroom because I covet the pencil sharpener. Every time I let my students use it, oh my gosh, it just goes awry and then it ends up breaking. I have finally found the perfect pencil sharpener for my classroom. I'll actually leave a link for it down in the show notes so that you can check it out and see if you want one. It is amazing. And the only way I allow other students to sharpen the pencil is if they get my 5-minute training in how to do it. And so that is definitely a responsibility I would give to certain students, and they think it's the most amazing thing. Anyway, some other job ideas. The calm corner keeper, that could be kind of cool, making sure that everything is a little tidy and neat inside that calming corner. A book organizer, you always have students who love organizing. Lights manager, board cleaner, supply restocker, that would be a nice fun job for someone. Maybe you need an attendance assistant or a classroom librarian. I always love giving the job of paper passer-outers to certain students. And maybe your classroom is set up so that you have a weather watcher. But you also could have some other types of classroom jobs that have a little bit of a deeper meaning. Check this out. This would be a great thing to incorporate some social emotional skills inside this idea of classroom responsibilities. Maybe you'll consider class encourager, a student who could actually encourage other students. And you could equip that student with a deck of Post-it notes and a really special pen, and they could be in charge of giving out encouraging notes for other students that they're noticing. How cool would that be, right? Maybe a job could be a check-in buddy. So if you can find the right student to train and then model this for other students as the year goes on, if someone's having trouble, whether it's with something in the content, or they're having a hard time getting things started, or they're having a hard time finding their materials, you could point to your check-in buddy and have them be the helper, check in with that other classmate. And here's one more idea to kind of take it a little bit deeper, and that is a gratitude note writer. How cool would this be? Now, you could take this on different angles. You could make this so that your gratitude note writer is someone who writes a gratitude for different parts in the day, or maybe they go over to different students and write down what they're grateful for and make a class list. There could be all kinds of different ways. And you can ask your students, maybe they start to define some of these roles as well, which would be kind of fun. And let's face it, some of these jobs, especially the really practical ones, these jobs don't just benefit the students as being part of the classroom community. They help you too. They free up your time and create smoother transitions and can reduce decision fatigue throughout the day, or just reduce you scrambling around for everything all the time. And yes, in some cases, this might mean a little extra work at the beginning or a little bit of training, especially for certain kids, but it can also work out for all involved, especially in the long run. Now, I'll tell you, the idea of classroom responsibilities as being like a systemized thing in your classroom, this is something I'm personally going to be trying a little bit more this coming school year. I used to have job cards and switch the jobs every month, but I kind of got away from it over the last recent years. Instead, I would just point to kids and ask them to do things. And that totally works, but when you don't have a system, you tend to ask the same kids over and over again. And that's why I'm going to actually work on this part a little bit more myself this school year and try and get more kids, or should I say all the kids, involved in the responsibilities of the classroom. Now, this is the kind of thing that works and helps improve student behaviors, because when students feel ownership in the classroom, they're less likely to act out. The more students feel that they belong in your classroom, they belong in the community, and maybe they even work together on certain jobs, so they're building relationships with other classmates, then they don't need to demand attention in negative ways. Instead, they will start to gain some of that attention in very positive ways. So think about how you've done responsibility tasks in the past, and maybe there's another way to add another layer or tweak it a little bit for this coming school year to actually help improve student behaviors. All right, now this third thing I want to share with how to help prevent student behaviors before they start is to help students practice self-management. Not just talk about self-management, not just have a lesson on self-management, but have them practice self-management throughout the day. This is one of the most overlooked behavior tools when you can help students to actually manage themselves. Oh my gosh, so much can change in your classroom. Practicing self-management before the students need to exercise the actual skill in the moment is also the key. So you want to model this and you want to draw attention to what you're doing. This is explicit teaching, something we take very seriously inside of SEAL, social, emotional, artistic learning. There's a key piece to real effective teaching to social emotional skills is being explicit about it. So using the words self-management as you're teaching them some of these strategies. So for example, introducing and modeling daily check-ins. So maybe in the morning, your morning question of the day is, how am I feeling? Or what do I need today? And they can actually write it on your whiteboard and then go sit down or write it in their journal and then, move on and unpack their bags. So having these daily check-ins and check-ins throughout the day as well is a really important skill that students should be practicing, and then using that opportunity to talk to students about what it is they're doing. When you're asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? You're becoming more self-aware, which helps you to manage your emotions, which is another important skill to be successful in the classroom, and of course, outside of the classroom as well. And certainly you can teach simple regulation strategies that they can use independently, okay? Things like deep breathing, sketch breaks. I didn't say stretch breaks, which is also another regulation strategy that you should be teaching your students, but I said sketch breaks. There are some students who will thrive with the idea of a sketch break. In fact, I had a student a couple of years ago. She was in my math group, and she loved to sketch. And she would sketch all over her worksheets and different things. And eventually it was actually becoming a little bit, not a problem, but it just was becoming a little bit of a distraction for other people. And so what I did was I called her over to my desk and I gave her a couple of Post-it notes. And I said, when you come in, I want you to take a Post-it note right here off of my desk, and I want you to stick it on your desk, and I want you to sketch on it while you're waiting for everybody to get settled, and then just put your worksheet over it. And then if you need to sketch, go ahead and sketch on it again, and then put your worksheet over it. She needed sketch breaks. Another self-management strategy I want you to think about is how you use and how you introduce your calm down corner. If you have one, maybe you have a calm down corner, maybe you are like me, you have like some kind of break box, but being able to allow students to use that on their own to self-manage can be such a powerful thing for them to learn. And talk about creating a caring culture in your classroom when you can actually train and then trust your students to go and use a break box or a calm down corner on their own, because you are respecting their ability to understand where they're at, know that they need a break, and then go and self-manage in an appropriate way. If you have a calm down corner or you are thinking about implementing one into your classroom, I want you to check out episode 63. It's called, Is Your Calm Down Corner Even Working? The Mistakes Teachers Make and How to Fix Them. Because what I find is that so many teachers want to have this or do have a calm down corner in their classroom, but it's just not quite working. And so we go over what might be missing inside that episode. So if that's something you want to dig into a little further, I encourage you to check out episode 63. Here's the thing. When students are taught how to notice their feelings and name their feelings, they gain some power on how to actually manage them. And boy, when a student can feel in control of themselves, that is powerful. Self-awareness builds self-control, and that leads to a more peaceful, more productive classroom. So to review, the first idea, you remember, was starting the day with predictable connection. The second way was to build a classroom of responsibility. And the third way was to help students practice self-management throughout the day. Here's the thing. Managing behavior doesn't have to be a battle, and you don't need another rigid plan or a behavior chart in order to get control of your students. What you do need is a proactive plan that centers around creativity and connection and, let's face it, your teacher instincts as well. You already know your students need calm and consistency. Now you've got 3 ways to set that tone before things start falling apart, okay? So I want you to think, start small, start creative, And if you're nodding along thinking, okay, Elizabeth, yes, I need more of this, then let me tell you about the Classroom Reset. This is my 6-month group coaching program that's designed specifically for teachers who are ready to take back control of their classrooms without sacrificing your sanity. Inside the Classroom Reset, we walk through a 5-step plan to rebuild your routines, improve behaviors, reignite your joy for teaching, get kids engaged, get more creativity in your classroom. We start with you, and then we work outward from the mindset to the classroom culture to the practical strategies that are going to work for you, your content, your grade level, your teacher personality, and of course the students that are in front of you. And you won't do it alone. You'll have coaching, you'll have support, you'll have a community of creative, caring teachers who are walking this road with you. I want you to go to theinspiredclassroom.com/reset, get all the details, okay? I would love to support you in this journey. I hope this episode inspired you, encouraged you, or gave you a fresh idea to try. And if so, I would love for you to take a screenshot and text it to one of your teaching buddies. I'm so grateful that you landed here with me today, and it would mean the world to me if you would leave me a review over on Apple Podcast. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode. This is Elizabeth Peterson reminding you to get inspired so you can be inspiring to your students and enjoy teaching again.